Hello, hello, guys. Alright. Everything should be set up and ready. Let me finish this game. I need to get bearing of where I was, right? Oh yeah, I gotta go this way, that way. I need to go this way. Card. It's the last boy I need, I believe. No, the dude. My NPC friend. Well, these cards have been a bit 50-50 on whether they're enjoyable or not, so hopefully this one isn't annoying. Yes, fire. A lot of it. He is relentless, but I also need to warm up. Gotta get these controls back with my fingers. Shabby. Is my boy alright though? You good?
My king, he treated me well. To die for him, I would not regret it. But I failed, brother. Failing his mission is what I regret. My king must have done something reckless for that dumb boy. The truth, I wager, lies beyond that door. That cursed cart was no match for me.
It's a lot of blood. And it's very dusty and misty.
Quite a good lad you are. But remember, don't be
rough, man.
swayed. Stay true.
Man, you can't say it was no match for you and then die. It's not a good look. Sudden light change. It's a frog. It's kind of open. We got anything else? Oh. Tree. Or whatever this is. Kind of looks like a pole. Is this another one of Wukong's poles? What? But wait! The frog! Oh man, I have to go back. Damn. So, okay. No going back, I guess. Do I have any? I actually have 4. Should probably use those. My sparks. It is all about the staff spell. I don't really care, honestly. I barely ever use it. I kind of forget that it exists. Stand stuff. I believe there was one really nice here. That's kind of weird. I'll just grab this. That's on. Dude, that's actually kind of sick. You can heal on top of the pole. Hmm. I think I will just upgrade something else here. Let's make them do more damage. Get more duration as well. It's probably not intended, but it seems to be glitched with my sword slash there transformation. Just doesn't. It rarely makes any sound. Makes it a little less satisfying to do it, but it's still pretty good. Honestly, there should just be a mana consumable thing. Like, maximum mana is not really... Like, I obviously don't know, because I haven't tried it. But when I used the increasing your health to a considerable amount, it was barely anything. So I don't trust that wording anymore. It was such a tiny... Like, it was... Honestly, it was... It wouldn't even tank a single hit from anything. Or at least the boss, specifically. You just risk getting hit instead, and it's just not worth it. 1200 will. Not bad. Alright, what do we got here? The ball! Of course the ball would end up being a boss.
He's a perfect wicked lass. He's even uglier than me.
Are you still in the hazel what, you wicked lad? Our Lady asked us to guard this place, not to check another face. Kill whoever breaks in was the order.
By your word!
Oh. Okay.
I ain't touched him.
Pull your weight, sluggard!
By your word!
Man, just when I transformed. And my decoys as well. I can't dodge very well with this.
Light you up!
No!
Go ahead! Get your fur burned down the road! Just you wait!
Not too shabby. I got 2 more already. Maybe I should try and actually upgrade some transformations here. I've literally only done it once. Like, duration would be kind of nice. But yeah, that's not a thing. I mean, might recovery speed could kind of be nice. I actually feel like I probably should have had more of that. I'll grab more might on de-transforming. Nice. Another rest. Me being completely out of mana. This is very nice. Wukong's Iron Horn. Oh no, there's still a dude. A lot of these rhino dudes. Oh no! Oh. Where am I? No. Gold tree core. We're led to the same place, but I would have missed the chest. Is there any reason to deal with these guys? I'm not seeing any loot, so I guess I won't. Just a random chest here. Would have expected some kind of enemy there, but I'll take it. Hey Benji. Yeah, let's finally actually finish this game. It's been great, but yeah, it's time. And this should be the final secret area that I need to do before the secret final boss is revealed. Half this arena is lava. I don't like that. Where's your gold knife? Okay, straight into it. Explosions. Sad you're playing K all night tomorrow. Play all night tomorrow. Yeah, that sucks. You can play it during, I guess, the beginning of it, I suppose, depending on when you have to leave. And assuming it's actually up in time.
Our master bade this child be born, but he never knew my struggles.
Toa.
How can we but follow the Master's word? Rakshasi, you know it was he who made you drink from the river of childbearing.
Shut it. You shall never speak of it. The king knows why I had to drink it. But I haven't glimpsed him ever since then. He made it another reason for his absence.
Rakshasi, your husband shirks dishonor this way. He granted you this cave with his Mount Bishui beast as its sentinel. He's compromised enough for the sake of our master.
You will seal your lips on this. Our family would be doomed if anyone knew the truth behind this child.
Fear not. Master bids me aid you in secret. You and the bull, you will rear this child to manhood. And when the boy comes of age, well, on that day, he will be living proof of the dark deeds of Mount Lingshan.
The baby cry cut off was kind of funny. I have an appointment with a sports car chiropractor to fix your back and neck Wednesday morning. Oh, you gotta go to bed early. Yeah, I would imagine there is some kind of leveling needed to access ranked. At least I hope so. Let's be real. Let's hope that's the case. We all want to play ranked, that's for sure, but I do think some leveling is needed as well, yeah. Ah, I was just taken back. Alright, I'll kill the frog here then. That was pretty short. Because I'm pretty sure that's it then. Now I just gotta go back to the pagoda. Dude, the frog fucking got me, man. The secret area. Pfft. Hell nah. The frog right outside, though. That guy's a menace. Yeah, it was 30 in smite. The thing is, I feel like... Dude, you had to play so much, though, to hit level 30 in smite. Like, an unreal amount, I feel like. Which I think is good to a certain extent, but a lot of people who are already good enough, you know, would have to play so much just to unlock ranked. That's okay though. I'm actually okay with not having to do ranked from the beginning, because I really gotta get used to the new items and stuff. Not to mention the scaling on gods and stuff, figuring out what's good. All that stuff would be nice to know before ranked actually pops up. Yeah, if it brings over smite levels, it might be different, yeah. Since it's connected to Steam, that might actually be the case. That would actually be kind of nice, to be honest. If they could somehow do that, that'd be cool. Alright, round 2, motherfucker. I'm not the... I'm just gonna cheese you straight away. He just jumped away. Excuse me? That literally one-shot me. What just happened? The fuck? This frog is a menace. I was memeing. What the hell, man? I'll say this again, this is kind of a minor gripe because this game isn't super difficult, but way too many bosses have some kind of status effect, which I think is just silly. Well, I might have just missed it. Like, there is a fire mantle, but I haven't found any other status mantles in this game. Meaning they aren't that easy to come by, because I explored so thoroughly in the beginning of this game Damn, that light switch is so abrupt. Wouldn't be ranked if wouldn't mind if rank being off for the first week. Yeah, I think for the first week would be fine. I believe they have said it's gonna be in the alpha. I just don't know to what extent or what that really means. Interrupted. Oh my, I'm in this fucking invisible wall. Oh, the whole arena just lets set you on fire. Well, that's so much better. Like he doesn't have a whole lot of HP, so it's not too bad, but that just slightly silly. Okay. I think that does it. I gotta go back to the pagoda then. Yeah, we'll see how it is. We're so close now. Ah, I got another weapon. Yay. Damn, that's really good too, if it wasn't because I had, you know, the best weapon in the game. Literally just Jingo Bang. You just get Wukong stuff and it's just by like miles better than anything else. An absurd amount. Also some... Ooh, that's kind of sick. And it gives more defense? Wait a minute. It gives more defense? Huh. But it loses something else. Oh, damn. Damn, this armor is super cool as well. So you just get Bull Demon gear? That's pretty sick. It's a shame. Transmog doesn't exist, so that's too bad. Alright, let's see if I am allowed in now. There is, yeah, something has changed. He's up here now.
In his steps you've trod, from his eyes you've seen. The circle has led you back. Have you gleaned any truths? Long has an old friend waited for you. Destiny ripens. This last mural holds the key. Go forth.
Yeah, I also clap my bell, and if you can, why not?
More clearly than him.
You only do it if you're like bare-chested, though. I don't do it with a t-shirt on. Has to be without the t-shirt. I gotta hear the satisfying sound of a clap. Bonds from bygone days still pull at the heart. Okay. I was just reading the achievement that popped up. Some of them have some interesting text. Or riddles, because I have no fucking idea what that meant. Snow. Yay. Snow area. I imagine they obviously reuse a lot of the background stuff, but it's so impressive how many pieces, like set pieces, they've made in this game. There is not a whole lot of backtracking. Like in similar like length games like Sekiro or Dark Souls, there's a lot of stuff that is reused, like in terms of areas. But I'm so impressed with what this game has made. I really am. They did such a good job. I do think, even though some enemies are definitely simple, enemy variety is still very impressive. Like for like a 30 or 40 hour game, depending on if you do main stuff or not. That's so many enemies. I believe it has 91 or something like that. Unique bosses. That's fucking crazy. Like, most games don't even have 91 unique enemies. Like, I love this shit out of Final Fantasy 16 that came out last year. But that game does not have many enemies in it. And same thing with God of War, like 2018. Also very lacking in enemy variety. Like, it's not easy. And that's why I find this so impressive. Ah, that's funny. The dog just peeked over the edge.
Shame I must greet you in this bitter cold without a hearty drink.
Alright, Erlong. Is your dog gonna be part of the
It's no
fight?
easy feat getting here. I know you didn't come to keep me company.
Are you gonna be more difficult than Wukong himself? That's the question.
In your heart, there must be something you can't get over. Or someone you can't let go of. Same goes for me. I can't kill that monkey. No one can. Except himself. But at last, I see. This is the only way. He had no choice. And neither did I.
He's got a secondary war. Ow.
The world is cruel. Destiny unfair.
Get NATO'd. What is that? Yeah, that bar is going down real fast with a tornado.
My skin. And lightning, my heart.
Okay, pretty long wind up. When are you done? Okay, Keg is the last.
Good. Good. Do have some of his spark. That's it. I won't hold back from now.
That's so cool. Oh, okay, that's gigantic shockwave.
That is fouler than that monkey.
Why are you Tiger now? He has so much health.
Stars in the sky. My blade bolts the air and drowns the thunder. Destiny is made.
Okay, when he starts blocking, I should stop attacking. I cannot immobilize him either. Damn. Okay. Yeah, he's got a lot of fucking health.
I know what you want.
Yeah, he's gonna knock me out. He's gonna root me. He's gonna knock me up in the turtle form. He's gonna fucking taunt me. It's gonna be rough. At least I'm Wukong. It's actually funny, because that matchup, even in Smite, is very even. Wukong has the range advantage and poke advantage, where Erlong is gonna fuck you up if he gets close enough. But Wukong has good disengage as well if he needs to. Does this work though?
I won't hold back from now.
It does.
Let's fight! Clouds drift on, barriers abound. See.
50%, okay. I can't tell if he's gonna attack me or not. He is. Damn, very fucking cool. He shoot me. Oh. Okay, I just now realized it's essentially a stagger bar.
The world knows every stir of your mind.
I accidentally canceled it. Okay.
Him, Telfro.
You know him after all. Fuck you, man. Yeah, at least doesn't. Well, yet he doesn't stun me during a potion yet. Damn, it's moth in here. Like, I'm trying not to kill you here, buddy. But I think I accidentally did. Okay. So I gotta be careful after 50%. Dude, even at 50%, I used everything at him. Can I use maybe something that is specifically for him? Stamina recovery, chill resistance I don't need right now, I think. I could increase attack. Increase attack for all burning, inflicted, and chill infected transformations. That seems not worth it. Increases max health, mana, and stamina. Oh shit. Well, I think we found the one. God damn. No. Okay, remind me after this. Can't do it in combat, I guess. And he fucking saw me from all over there.
Trust me. I know it more than you do.
On Mabel's muffin? What the fuck is that? It's an item from PoE? I know that type of item though. Every Souls game, or even FromSoft game, usually has an item like that just ups all your main stats. It's always the best. Literally is. Oh yeah, I got more up here. Increases well experience. Yeah, no, you're not comparing to this boy. How much is it though? Can I tell? Not, I mean, just based on eye comparisons, I guess. It's not a big deal, but it's better than, I think, most of the others. Especially something that gives you more max mana. Mana is an actual problem in this. You just never have enough. Oh, it's a muffin brand. I see. I don't know if muffin brands really. I'll admit, I'm not a big muffin guy. I like cake. Muffin specifically, I'm not sure. Excuse me? You just negated that?
You have some of the spark.
Man,
That's it.
his health is time gated.
I won't hold back from now.
Percentage gated. Yes.
Destiny is made, not dictated.
Does that do anything? No. Damn it. Panic rolling. He's hard to fucking read, man. He's so fucking slow with some things. He just sidestepped me. Like, I stand by what I said before. I don't think bosses should be able to just fucking sidestep your fucking resource. Like, what the fuck? I'm saving that shit to do actual damage and I just fucking sidestep it.
When you know. You've lifted my spirit.
50% without using any mana.
When he was dragged to the execution yard,
I will do this
souls they
though.
were dull,
I would like those
couldn't
things to
cut
not
to a
go for
crumb,
me.
And yet,
Unless it's just random.
yet he gave his life to put you in this place. Let me see when paths diverge from his. The world knows every stir of your mind. Your destiny but he's called destiny.
Throwing out all the stops.
You should thank your spares for not walking.
I need to check if I have any... Dude, stop. Chill. No stamina. Dude, I wish I could somehow get a bit of mana back. I'm doing this though, because I'm shocked at the moment. I think I can yoink something else. Grab no stamina. Grab a bit of everything.
Your best tricks. Use them.
Damn. I managed to dodge this every single time so far, and now I screwed up.
The world is cruel and twisted unfair. From the sky, my sword sweeps the land.
Do I still have one? Upon use grants resurrection upon death. Huh. I'll probably use that. First I'll do this. Dodge that. I think I'll definitely grab this. Maybe it was wasted. Okay, never mind. Honestly, please don't have a second phase, because this is a fucking nightmare
Today's
otherwise.
crash didn't satisfy my spirit.
Don't.
Go back with me to the sky. Let us get
Or at least
drunk
have a
before we
checkpoint.
Continue this fight.
Dude. Don't have a second phase. Jesus Christ. And hey Neo, I don't know if you said hi. It's been scrolling enough. I've been so focused here. Cool shot. Well, this is doing the same thing again. Things are repeating. Oh. Oh, we're doing it like this, huh? We're doing this icon style. Side content, by the way.
None has what it takes to push me into this fight. This monkey. I've been thinking of you every day since.
We're literally like bigger than mountains right now. Well, we're probably like mountain-sized. Oh, these guys are back.
Such power must be new to you. You should first spar with them a while.
Dude. What the hell? Dude, how is this side content? I feel like everyone should be able to, like... It's cool, don't get me wrong. But everyone should experience this part. What the fuck? How is this not... How is this optional? Oh no. Bad at time. I thought he was gonna jump me. Dude, this guy's jamming. Actual board up here? This dude with an umbrella, and a dude with just a guitar. Oh, it's definitely not a guitar, it's called something else. This form has an actual parry, because the cooldown is so short that you can practically use that as a parry. This feels much better. It's what the game should have had from the start. Next. Who's fucking next? Oh, he disappeared. Oh my god. It's a UFO. No wonder people believe in UFOs. Oh, there's a dragon in it. My poor PC is dying right now. Damn. This is essentially what I expected the last boss to be. So it's crazy that this is like just thrown behind all the secret areas and side content that the majority of the players won't be able, like, just won't notice, I guess. They just won't go through doing it. I'm killing him with his dragon. Actually just strangle him with a dragon. If I was the last guy, I'd be oh shit. Can we just talk? He's getting beaten with his instrument and killed. Are you ready? Oh, it's fine there, don't worry about it. I'll read all you guys said after this. I'm way too distracted from what's going on.
As I've helped you, I shall share.
He's kind of fat. I can relate to him. Oh my god. Throw him with his sword. Strong. Honestly, this fight feels great because I have a parry. Damn. Nothing in this game has made me realize more how I wish this game just had a normal parry.
Our battles always were down my edge.
What you got there? It's a big torch.
This one should suit you well.
My god, frames. No, it ran out of time. No wonder he just has a big axe. It's because he is big. He said the thing. there's something I've learned from game science doing something like this, is that if you want to make a game, make mobile games first. Wait, did I die? Oh, I was supposed to use abilities, maybe? I guess not. Scripted. Scripted. No! Nice. Damn, that's so cool. This is so unexpected too. Like it literally just then turned into like God of War. Or well, Final Fantasy 16. That's a more recent example. Or Ashura's Wrath, I suppose. I need a pole. Yeah. Strong. Nice, man. That's awesome. Some pretty cool shots in this fight as well. Well, well, well. How the turns have tabled, huh? Eyes leaking.
I rank 1,000-fold above that king. As his sire, he reveres me, and like a deity, he serves me. How dare you think I'm his slave? Kindly chant the loosening spell and release that, Tathagata, so that you can take back my headland, and I can be free.
That's all the bad stuff Wukong has done.
said he knew this.
Because it's Wukong speaking.
Surely he's no mere mortal.
He must be somebody from the court. Great. The journey ends here. Keep those eyes wide to bring them down. Watch me rip it off and break free.
Because Wukong clearly wasn't good. Like, morally good, necessarily. Wukong was a bit of a troublemaker. He was mostly minding in his own business, though, I guess. Or wanted to, at least.
And only now do I understand that fight. No prestige can shackle him. No band can keep him caged. A mortal death for an unbound mind and will. May you not fail him. I'm now at peace. Your journey, though, has just begun.
Ooh, I get his weapon? That's kind of cool.
Say, what's to come of Destiny if he steps out of that mural?
I make a living by reading what was written. The signs alone tell what's to come.
What's to come is what's not yet written. No one can read what's not written.
Destiny is written in what's done. What's done shapes what's to come, not escape. It's all written for me, if only I uncover all that occurred.
So, there really is something even you cannot read. That's good. Very good.
Azure Dome. It's a spell, okay. Between the boundless dome and mortal planes, this low monkey stands unyielding and unstained. Transform into a stone monkey, gaining immunity to shock and poison. Absorb and convert frost and scorch to empower yourself. So it's... yeah, okay. I assume I don't get big, though. Retain access to this and one spells, and convert any pre-transformation focus for use afterward. I need to go try this one out. I assume I just turn into, you know, Wukong's shell. Because that's all it really was, right? It was Wukong's shell model that they used for that. Oh, yeah, tri-point double-edged spear. Let's see, is it better than Wukong's weapon, or is it just the same? I kind of hope it's equal in terms of damage. So, yeah. See, that's how you do it, because that gives you a choice. I like that. So I can use either of them. Okay, it's already crafted. That is nice. I kind of feel weird not using Jingo Bang as Wukong though, but I'll try it out. Hey, Bingus. Good to see you, man. The time is indeed upon us very soon. Tomorrow we will live and breathe. Smite 2. Even though it's still an alpha, but that's fine. Let me go to... oh yeah, this is just... yeah, I don't want to go here. Flaming Mountains then. Yeah, I kind of... honestly, I think I prefer God of War's way of doing it. I really do. I come to like the way they've done it. Like the structure of having most main bosses be like somewhat easy. Obviously you have a difficulty slider in God of War, so it can be as easy and hard as you really want it to be, but like most of those are not inherently hard. But the side stuff can get so difficult. Alright, come over here. Yeah, I forgot to put on the transformation like an idiot. Spear is nice though. It does have a little bit of a different chain, as the spears do. Back I go so I can swap. Because to be very honest, despite wanting my 2 to come out, we can't wait for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That's understandable. Kingdom Come Deliverance is going to be pretty fucking good as well, I imagine. I have faith in... especially how long it's taken too. And that's such a passion game as well. I'm very excited for that as well. I'm not as excited for that though, as some other games coming out. Just because Kingdom Come is a first-person game. And I am not the big first-person gamer. For some reason, I'm not just super into that stuff. I have exceptions here and there, but I have a hard time fully getting to them. I like seeing animations of the character that I'm playing, stuff like that. Like, if this was first-person, I probably wouldn't even have played it. That's kind of just the sad truth. I'm a bit weird when it comes to that stuff. But it no damage because he still has a shield. Oh, dude, I still have my abilities? Okay, that's what it meant. That's kind of sick. Oh, they just... went back. I just have Cloud Step. I even have Pluck of Many. And someone's won. And it does not use my actual mana. Dude, that's so sick. Okay, that's definitely the coolest ability. It gives you more options. Alright, well, it was pretty short. Did I kill the mountain hopper? I did, yeah. Well, no, I didn't actually kill it. I figured out what else to do with it, though. I'm pretty sure I didn't end up killing it. It was just a vehicle of transport. Or something like that. I actually kind of forgot what happened with it. I didn't kill it, though. He was chilling. I mean, at this point, I pretty much finished all I wanted to finish in the game. It only took an hour and 20 minutes, but I'll take it. It's a small bonus thing. So, I'm kind of done with the game now. Sigrun was the hardest one in the first game, yeah. She was. She was very difficult. But yeah, before anyone says anything about God of War, no Ragnarok spoilers. Some people have not played it, so. Because I was about to talk about Ragnarok. I enjoyed the side stuff in Ragnarok. Essentially, what essentially what is also the same thing as the Valkyries in Ragnarok is honestly was more enjoyable. I have played Ragnarok, I'm just saying, but I know you haven't, Benji, so that's why I'm saying it. But I love the side bosses in Ragnarok very much. Much more than the Valkyries in the first one. Haven't you finished the first one yet? You haven't played anything, Winori. You've been so busy. You haven't even played Elden Ring. That's okay. You'll get there eventually. I mean, you can play the first one on PC now, the new God of War, and then you can very soon play the other one, because it comes out of you. How do you feel about the puzzles in Ragnarok? That's what I heard the most complaints about. I believe what people complain about in Ragnarok is that it might have been patched now, but the problem with Ragnarok and the puzzle stuff is that you very, very, very fast gets told how to fix the puzzle. Because apparently there was a complaint from the first game that I don't know how to fix this puzzle and I'm not getting any hints. Alright, so they made it so that you're getting hints now. It's just that they happen very fucking fast. You might just get the answer for the hint 5 seconds after you actually have to figure out what to do for that puzzle. But the puzzles themselves are great. Like, there's nothing wrong with the puzzles in that game. If you like the first ones, then you're gonna enjoy the second ones. But you might also very quickly get an answer from a certain companion in that game. Because, yeah. For some reason they made it really fast. You might be able to turn it off now, I'm not sure. Maybe the PC version has something where you can turn off the hints or something like that. That's what you heard? That he almost solved the puzzle before you started. Yeah, they might have fixed it in PC version. I don't know. One can hope that that's what they've done. But the side content in Ragnarok is really good. Like, legitimately. It's much better than the first game. In terms of gameplay and like what they've done with combat, Ragnarok is fucking awesome. In terms of story and stuff, I still think I preferred the first game. But that's purely just preference, because I heard some people say the opposite as well. It's by no means bad. It's a great story. I just really love the first game. It has like a special place for me. And that story hit really hard home, because I played the first God of War shortly after my mother died. So that story kind of hit me pretty hard. And felt very close to home. I don't know if you know anything about that, Benji, but yeah, I lost my mother a while ago. It's been a while now, so it's not really new, but we haven't talked for a while, so. Quick question mark. Who do you think is the hardest boss in DS3? Hardest boss in Dark Souls 3. I think Midir was for me. Not because, like, I don't know. It's such a patience fight. I feel it goes against what I'm trying to do gameplay-wise. So I always struggle with Midir. But it's either Midir or Frida, I think. Frida also is someone I just struggled with. For the same reason. It's such a patience fight sometimes. Sometimes I'm just not patient. Yeah, I never told you. I mean, it's not something I guess I don't mind talking about it, but it's also not something I just want to drop on the table as one of the first things when I have a conversation with someone. So, it's been a while. It happened when I was 23, so what, 5 years ago now? It has been a while. It is not new, but it was while I was streaming last time, and I stopped streaming because of it. That's why I stopped streaming back then in the first place. It was tough. It was definitely a tough period. It was a rough way for her to go. Also, what the hell was your guys' long conversation before? I saw some Neo stuff. Did Neo even say hi when he came in? He did. You guys said so much. But yeah, hello Neo. You guys talked about Smite stuff. Okay. I was just curious. I wanted to see what you guys was talking about. Because suddenly there was just a wall of text after I was dealing with the boss. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't want to sit and get sentimental or anything, but yeah, I mean, my mother was my role model. Like, I was very much a mother's boy, 100%. Because I don't have a father. So she was kind of all I had to look up to. And she, like, you know, when I was in Germany, like, she was traveling with me. Like, I have travel issues, I have autism. So when it comes to traveling to, like, tournaments and stuff, my mother was usually with me. So yeah, that's not really a possibility anymore. Which is legitimately one of the reasons why I think I've lost some, like, I guess, interest in competitive. Because if I had to travel, I would have issues with it. I'm not good at traveling alone. So if I did competitive again, I would have to figure out what to do about that. The best option would probably just to be try and do it myself. Because I'm definitely more willing to do it now than I was back then. Back then I couldn't. Now I would fucking hate it, but I might be able to do it. So. Anyway. Bit of a sidetrack towards the end of this. Hi, Mr. Travel Buddy. Yeah, the only issue with extra travel stuff is that I would have to pay for that ticket as well. That's the thing. It gets really expensive then. Where's the guy that misses Game Hunter? Yeah. He's hiding. He's been hiding for a while. That would make it much easier though. It would. Because I don't mind traveling that much if I have someone with me, so I can kind of like rely on them. I'm like a dog like that, you know? I'm worried, but then I look at the owner, I'm like, oh, okay, shit. They seem fine. I guess everything is fine. No problem. Even back in the day, when I was traveling with whoever went with me, it wasn't always my mom. It was sometimes it was her boyfriend at the time that went with me as well. I had to pay for his ticket. It was just taken from the prize pool, so I still had to pay for it. And back then it was 10k Danish crowns for that ticket. I wouldn't have the money for that stuff now. Can't play Space Marine 2, but if you wanna, I can continue with my friend. No, it's alright though. There's no worries. Like, there's no rush in it either way. It's a pretty busy month for gaming anyway. Like, I might not even myself be able to play it instantly, so it's fine. Maybe Benji wants to play. We can always just two-man it. I'll be down for that. I think I just don't want to play it alone. I feel like Space Marine 2 is made as like a co-op experience. I don't want to do it alone. It feels like a waste. It seems like the kind of game me and Benji could play. That would be nice. It wouldn't be on stream either way. I wasn't planning on streaming that game. I don't think I would enjoy streaming it very much anyway. Just so I have a Space Marine 2. Maybe we can bring Winari into it. Because you can play up to 3, right? And then we're 3 Danes as well. Then we can just talk Danish. That would be something, huh? Oh, you can play up to 4? I thought it was only 3. Did they change it? Four would definitely be cool. I think 3 is kind of a perfect number for me almost. In a game like that though, I'd be so down to play that with like two or 3 more people. That'd be so cool. I want to feel like a Space Marine. I want to believe in the Emperor even though it's definitely morally wrong, but I'm so down for it. I finished this much earlier than I expected, so I'll look around a bit for stuff while talking, having some conversation here. Oh, it's the highest tier. Okay.
Now you can finally drink deep and full.
Deep and full.
Try it as you will. Joy
Oh, the last sip. That's interesting. The last sip of the gore significantly increases attack for a short duration. So that's when you're on your last legs, you know? 60% of max health healing. But it does, okay, inebriates impairs movement. Inebriation impairs. I don't think I've ever heard that word before.
As me earning a drink or two.
I'm just buying everything here, so I have it.
There's no going back to the court.
Maybe do some more Smite 1. No, I think I would just go relax a bit, to be honest. Because I know I'm going to be streaming a lot tomorrow after Smite 2 comes out. And I haven't taken any breaks from streaming in terms of days for quite a while. So I'll probably just go relax, play a little bit of something else for once instead of Wukong and Smite. And yeah. Maybe give my dog some attention as well. Because I've been playing so much Wukong lately. On stream. I'm gonna go play Elden Ring. No, I'm actually kind of done with Elden Ring for now. I definitely overplayed it a bit. I actually have already hit max level in WoW, Benji. I already did. It was pretty fast. Well, it usually is. Don't actually have to play that much for it. But it's still in the early access portion of the release, so you can't really do anything yet. It's gonna get out of that though, like tonight, I guess, like during the night, something like that. So tomorrow I'll be able to actually do something. I'm looking forward to try out the new, like max level content, the new delves, which is basically just solo dungeons that you can do, which I think is great. You can play up to 4 players, but you can solo them. I'm looking forward to that. 90 minutes. What's this about 90 minutes, one hour? About leveling? Because that'd be pretty fast.
Shoe dog loves his man, given his nature.
Low launch, I see. Oh yes, it's just at midnight? Okay. So you'll go hitting... I mean, if you just skip the story, yeah, you're gonna level up so fucking fast. I didn't skip the story, I actually followed it along. I am interested in the WoW, I guess, direction they're trying to go with. Now that Metzen is back, he's trying to make it a bit more story. Or give it a bit more story. Like, it was kind of whatever. But it's also not finished. It was definitely bare-boned. Alright, well. Oh yeah, the big turtle is still here. Look at that, guys. There's a turtle here. And he's chilling. It's also kind of criminal this game does not have a photo mode. With how beautiful it is. Yeah, I definitely won't be leveling stuff for a while, outside of just my main and WoW. Go to the center and draw dicks. People draw dicks there now. Of course they would. What else would you do? Which sand area though? It's probably down here. I mean, you can do it in the snow too, I think. But damn. I guess quick, short review, I guess, on the game is where I can end it as well. I think this game is mostly pluses with a few negatives. Before this game came out, and in the beginning of the game as well, I kept like having the thought in my mind that there was, like, on a review, one of them said it was very repetitive, and I was like, dude, there is no way you're calling this game repetitive when it has this, like, that big of a tree, right? A talent tree. So, alright, you happy? Well, that's this big of a talent tree. Turns out the talent tree doesn't actually do much. Like, in the long run, like, a lot of this stuff isn't that big of a deal. It doesn't really end up giving you that many options or differences. It just levels up what you've already had. So, like, in this stance, like right here, this talent simply makes the smash attacks do more damage, or like it costs less, you take less damage while using it, or some shit like that. So it doesn't actually add on to like more combos or anything like that. It's only a few of them that do that. And a lot of them just weren't very fun to use. Like I only found this the smash stance fun to use in terms of its ability. I like the pole, like, stance here, just the smash itself, but the twirl he does here, it felt like it sucked every single time I used it. It barely did any damage. I was always hit by using it. It just didn't really work out. I wasn't a fan. Thrust stance, I liked its main ability as well. I think it did well with its main abilities, and its very first, like the jump back it does, and then he pokes as like it was a good escape ability, like offense and defense as it says as well. I think that's great. But as you level it up, I didn't like it that much, because here he starts doing this stabby thing, the big stabs. I kind of felt like that sucked, or it wasn't very fun to use. Maybe that could just be me though. That could just be a preference thing. So anyway, point being, I do think there definitely was some repetitiveness going into how we just kind of played later on, because you didn't also get that many spells to play around with. I definitely neglected both of these spells. I didn't like Ring of Fire, so I said fuck that. But it's also the fact that you don't get that many sparks. Like, I had a fully leveled up Immobilize over here. Why the hell would I use this one then? This isn't leveled up at all. And yes, before someone says it, you can literally just respec for free. It costs nothing. But I don't want to do that every time, man. I just don't. Because there's so many... Dude, there's so many sparks. I don't want to reset all of this. I can't fucking remember all of the things I've taken. So, whatever. It's a slight criticism. That's all it really is. Because I still enjoyed the shit of the combat. I never got bored of the combat. But I do feel like where someone comes from if you call it repetitive. Because yes, you're very much doing the same thing. But I play Souls games, and you literally... You do the same fucking thing in Souls games. You use the same fucking attack. You just do what works. You find one weapon, you use that one for the rest of the game. Maybe you have a spell or two. That's about it. I'm used to that type of combat. Looking at this game as more of like a Souls game in terms of combat made it easier, or like your combat options, I should say, because the combat feel itself was more action-like a God of War, or so some people say a Neo. So yeah, I enjoyed it overall. Combat was great. Next up, story. Mostly incomprehensible, I think. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff, like it's very mystical. The mystical aspect of it is very, very, very interesting. But I wasn't invested in the story, I would say. It was very bare-boned. Well, no, bare-boned is the wrong word, but it was very incomprehensible. I wasn't invested in any character outside of Baji, I think. I think when Baji came into it, he was pretty interesting. I liked him. Talents didn't feel impactful. The beginning ones did. When I got upgrades, like... like this one, for example. Like, when you get these... not that, this one. When you get that... When you're able to build up some focus and you get an extra slam by essentially comboing into it, that feels great. Then there's this one. You do a slam and then you got a follow-up slam. That's what I expected to keep going, you know? So the first two make super good sense, but if I go down here, all this one really does is, okay, now it does more damage. Or it gives a bit more focus. Like, it didn't upgrade the ability itself. It just gave it a bonus, you know? And I don't feel like that's as fun. It doesn't add anything to my combat. And it was pretty much like this for every single one of them. It gave you an upgrade and like a new button to press after a combo twice, and then the rest of it was just small bonuses. And this one I just didn't like. It was just a preference thing, I guess. The ability I got with a pole stance just wasn't fun, or pillar stance. So I tend to just use the smash stance, especially for bosses. And I mean, because all of this out here is just it's small bonus passive things. Where this is, I felt like was supposed to be some active stuff. This is what adds more to your button pressing, but there wasn't a whole lot of that stuff. And it was again, it's a minor criticism, but it is there. Because you have all of these buttons as well in terms of abilities. My main problem here is my biggest criticism of the game. I don't think the mana bar should exist, and if it does, it should somehow regen. Because it feels so bad being so limited. I could only ever use like a plug of mana once in a single fight. Cloud Step maybe a few times. And they weren't necessarily super impactful on some bosses, because some bosses literally just had like an auto counter to it, or they just avoided it, or whatever the fuck it may be. You can even miss them. So it was definitely very unsatisfying at times. There's also the fact that you can get interrupted out of your focus points. So if you use like a big smash with like 3 focus points on top of it, and you get hit, or you get staggered out of it, those focus points go away. Now you have to build them back up. I think that feels really, really bad. So that's definitely the smaller things I felt like wasn't as satisfying in terms of combat. Next up, cinematics and visuals of the game are fantastic. Absolute 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, whatever you want to say. It was perfect. I love how the game looks. I love how the cinematics are constructed, how they visually, like the camera angles, stuff like that. I think it's just super cool cinematically. I'm very impressed with how many cinematics this game also had. So I have nothing but praise about that, honestly. And yeah, I think that's about it on the cinematic aspects of it. It definitely has a God of War but Chinese feel to it, which means it doesn't need to have a really good story. As long as it shows me something really cool visually, then I'll be satisfied. So yeah, I am very, very satisfied. I think this game comes in at a very solid 9 or 9.5 out of 10. And the only small little few things is what I mentioned about combat stuff. Boss design as well. I think some of the bosses are very hit or miss. There's definitely some wonky hitboxes and some kind of bullshit effects or mechanics, I think, on some bosses, which I have mentioned a bunch while fighting some of them. But overall, I think this game was a massive success. I guess, obviously in terms of popularity, but for myself, I like this more than I thought I would. I did. So, I don't know, did I miss anything else? I think that's pretty much it. And yes, my biggest, I guess, meme criticism is that why the fuck is there no transmog in this game? With all the cool armor sets you have made, Game Science, how the fuck is there no transmog? How can I not put this shit on if I want to, huh? Tell me. Tell me. There's so much cool shit in this game that I have never been able to use because you know what? I can't transmog, and these shitty things have stats, so there's clearly one who is much better. That would be nice. Transmog should absolutely be a thing. Boss variety, yes, is a gigantic plus. Boss variety as well as just enemy variety is a massive plus. That being said, with a small little thing to the side, some areas are so big and so filled with the same enemy that it got a little boring fighting the same enemy at times. But overall, I do think the game has incredible variety in enemies. So that's a gigantic plus as well. The amount of transformations is very cool. That being said, I would have liked if they didn't cost anything to upgrade. Or maybe not, maybe just not being upgradable. Because look how many you have. And they cost quite a lot to upgrade. As well as having a limited resource being the final upgrade. Let me just use an example here. Who would I want to upgrade? See if there's something fun here. I could just upgrade the big guy here. Okay, so let me go and upgrade this guy and show exactly what I mean. Because you can upgrade this up to 9 times, well 10 overall, but when you get to 9 you need a specific, I guess, crafting material to upgrade it to 10. So they also limited how many you can even upgrade, which I think lessens the fun aspect. It's the same problem I have with FromSoft games. You have limited upgrade materials in FromSoft games. I think that's bad. You should just be able to play and have fun with whatever you want. Try different stuff. Especially to figure out like what's good. Oops. So yeah, cultivate spirits. If I want to upgrade the big guy I have now, it costs a decent amount of will. Obviously I have a bunch of will now, but I also didn't use it on anything. I upgraded one summon, that's it. But already now it's costing 9,000, 12,000, and like that's crazy, man. That is pretty insane how much it costs. That's 30k I just lost for upgrading one guy to full. And look how many summons there are, or transformations, or whatever you want to call them. So I do think that's a bit much. But overall, I still like the mechanic itself. I think it's awesome. That you can turn into a bunch of different stuff using them as a thing here. I think I would have liked more of these things. This one is obviously super broken, I feel like. But there weren't that many of these. I have 4. I have 4 of these. And I finished the game. So that would have been nice. A few more of these things. Vessels, they're called. So not a whole lot of variety in this aspect. Or in this aspect of the game, yeah. So these are obviously minor criticisms. I already gave my final score in the game, so that's about it. This game was a gigantic surprise. I expected to think this game was really cool, or hoping it was really, really good. I'm very happy to say it is very, very good. This game is my game of the year at the moment. And the previous one for me was probably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That came in February of this year. So, and that is also a very, very good game. So, yeah. That pretty much leaves my review there. Now, I will go and relax. Probably grab something to eat real fast before I go to bed. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching this Wukong playthrough.